A lot of people have been waiting for an electric pickup truck, an electric ute, and because nothing appears to be coming anytime soon that's fully electric, except maybe the new LDV electric truck, electric ute, but that's still a ways off. People are just going, well, you know what? It's better to buy a plug-in hybrid than just a fully diesel-powered pickup truck. Therefore, what's the better vehicle? The new Ford Ranger plug-in hybrid, which, to be honest, is very good and also very bad at the same time, or the new BYD Shark. Now, both vehicles have significant pros and cons. They have, in fact, kind of reasons to buy one over the other. What do I think between the two vehicles? Well, I'm going to tell you what I think. Here's what my opinion is on which one you should buy. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. Guys, the new Ford Ranger plug-in hybrid has just been revealed. We know what the details are, the specifications are. The battery pack is small for one. That's the first difference you can see between the BYD Shark and the Ranger plug-in hybrid. The battery pack in the BYD Shark is about twice the size of the battery pack in the Ford Ranger. Okay, so that's a win to the Shark. Bigger battery pack means it gets much more range. The range of the Ford Ranger, considering the battery pack is only an 11.7 kilowatt hour size battery, in the real world, I mean, Ford says the range is 45 kilometers of electric driving only range. You're probably going to get about 20, maybe 25. That's probably enough for a lot of short journeys. But yeah, the range of the Shark is meant to be about 80 to 90 kilometers. Real world, probably about 50. You're going to get about twice the range of electric only driving from the BYD Shark versus the Ford Ranger. Now, the next most important feature for a lot of people who buy a truck or a ute is towing capacity. Now, this is where the Ford Ranger clearly is the winner by a big margin. The towing capacity of the Ford Ranger plug-in hybrid is 3.5 tons. The BYD Shark is only 2.5 tons. Some people won't buy the BYD Shark because they need more towing there. They need more than 2.5 ton towing. I think BYD will have to change that at some point in future. What about the overall power? Well, the BYD Shark demolishes the Ford Ranger for overall power. That doesn't mean that the Ranger is underpowered though. The Ranger comes with a 2.3 litre 4-cylinder petrol, turbocharged engine. That engine produces, well, we don't know exactly what it produces, but the total power output, we do know what that is. It's 205 kilowatt. So combined output between the electric motor, it's a 75 kilowatt motor. It's 101 horsepower for that single motor. The combined output in total is 205 kilowatt, which is about 275 horsepower. It's really not that powerful. In fact, it's a lot less powerful than what I expected it to be. But what it does do well is torque. It's got a lot of torque. It's got 690 newton meters of torque. That is 510 pound-feet. Massive amount of torque. In spite of the fact the Shark has a much smaller engine, it's only got a 1.5 litre turbo, it actually has way more power. It has 430 horsepower. So, not far off double the power in total. It's got 321 kilowatt. It can do 0 to 100 in 5.7 seconds. So the fact that it actually has a significantly more powerful electric motor is, well, that's the big game changer here. Now, the other difference is it appears that the Shark has faster charging. The Shark can charge from 30 to 80% in 20 minutes. The actual technical charging speed is actually quite slow. The Shark supports DC fast charging of up to 40 kilowatt. So really, I don't know why plug-in hybrids have such slow DC charging, because technically you still want to charge your battery, right? If you're going on a longer trip, you still want to pull over and charge your battery. It's much more efficient to do that. And obviously it's going to be cheaper for you. Anyway, 40 kilowatt charging, but that's still going to be significantly faster than the charging speed of the Ford Ranger. That said, the overall charging speed of the two vehicles is actually very similar in terms of time because of the fact that the BYD Blade battery in the Shark is so much bigger than the battery in the Ranger, which is, like I said before, about 12 kilowatt size battery. The Shark battery is 30 kilowatt hours, so it's 29.6 kilowatt hours, giving it a lot of extra range, of course, in EV only mode. Plus, the performance much faster. The BYD Shark does it in 5.7 seconds, 0 to 100, 0 to 62 miles an hour, and that's going to be probably a big factor for a lot of people. Being able to buy what is, a utility vehicle that's this fast, I think a lot of people will like that. Plus, That extra torque from the Shark will mean that if you are carrying a heavy load, of course it's not rated above 2.5 tons, but if you are carrying 2.5 tons, you'll probably barely feel it. The reason I say that, right, is the electric motors in the BYD Shark are extremely powerful, much more powerful than the single electric motor in the plug-in hybrid Ford. The front motor is 170 kilowatt, that's 230 horsepower, just that single front motor in the BYD Shark. The rear motor has 150 kilowatt, that's 201 horsepower. So that's a huge amount of horsepower. Theoretically, that's 430 horsepower just from the two electric motors. Plus then you've got the 1.5 litre turbocharged engine as well, giving it a range, theoretical range, NEDC of 840 kilometers. So probably about 750 kilometers WLTP. Range for the plug-in for the Ford Ranger is actually pretty similar to that. Now, one cool thing about both of these vehicles is the ability to charge other things, trailers and tools and all kinds of different devices. You can actually charge at 2.3 kilowatt. However, with an optional power supply pack, you can charge at 6.9 kilowatt on the Ford Ranger. Now, I believe from what we've seen from the Mexican version of the BYD Shark that their vehicle to load capacity is actually higher than that, higher than what you get in the Ford Ranger. We'll have to confirm that because we don't have a lot of specifications yet for outside of Mexico. But at this point in time, the vehicle to load of the Shark does appear to be a bit better than the Ford Ranger. Now, where else can we compare the vehicles? Well, size. This is one factor that no one seems to be mentioning. The BYD Shark is about 5% bigger than the Ford Ranger, and it's got a bigger tray, so you can fit more stuff in the tray. The overall interior space is a fair bit bigger. To give you context on the size, the Shark has the largest body size in its class. It measures 215 inches long, that's 5,457 millimeters, and it's 77.6 inches wide. It's a fair bit wider than a Ford Ranger, that's 1,970 millimeters. Also taller, it's 76 inches high, which is 1,925 millimeters tall. To give you some perspective, that means it's about approximately 5% bigger in all dimensions the Shark is than a Ford Ranger. If you want something bigger that can have more space in the tray, obviously the Shark is going to be the better option for you. Now, visually, the BYD Shark looks really good. I think it actually looks very similar to a Ford Ranger in a lot of ways, but the Ford Ranger plug-in hybrid, to give you some context of how it looks compared to the standard version, looks very, very similar. It'd be hard for most people to tell that you're driving a plug-in hybrid, so that might be good, it might not. What do you get? Standard. You get a standard 10-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system, that's in the Ford Ranger, a 360-degree camera, and 12-inch infotainment screen. Now, manufacturing of the Ranger, it's got to be done at the Silverton plant in South Africa. That's for, I believe, places like Australia and New Zealand. The Ranger, the electric or the plug-in hybrid Ranger, apparently it's going to be a global vehicle, so it's going to come to a lot of different markets worldwide. It's going to get things like, obviously plug-in points in the rear tray, like the BYD Shark. So they're similar in that way, obviously power points in the tray bed. So you've got a lot of options there for camping and that sort of thing. This is going to be a much better vehicle than a standard Ford Ranger. Now, here's the thing. The Ford Ranger is considered the best pickup truck, best ute you can get in its class. It wins probably 9 out of every 10 reviews, comparison tests. The Ranger is considered the gold standard today. It is. Guys, I've read so many reviews on these vehicles. That's a fact. The Ford Ranger is actually really good. It's good with towing, it's good with handling, it's good with all those sorts of things. The Ford Ranger it's a known quantity, it's a known brand. You're going to get a good vehicle, it's got good reviews, etc. I think the plug-in hybrid version will be just a little bit better version of the existing Ford Ranger. The BYD Shark is a completely unknown quantity. It does have some disadvantages in being an unknown quantity. No one knows how good it's going to be, how good its ride's going to be. I've seen reviews, I've just seen one video review in the United States where they used a Mexican truck and they said the suspension felt a bit weird, it felt too soft. But then it felt like it was handling bumps in a weird way. That might be something that they're working on for the global version to improve that. But right now, that does sound like an issue. The reason for that is the BYD Shark it's a completely different type of vehicle. It's meant to be more of a luxury car. It's said to have independent rear suspension and coil springs. I know it has the coil springs. That's part of the reason it's actually meant to be a really comfortable vehicle to drive. It's not really intended as a commercial vehicle, whereas the Ford Ranger plug-in hybrid is. Now, you've heard a lot of positives about the Ranger plug-in hybrid, aside from the range and the fact it has less power, but there's some other things about the Ford Ranger that are lacking in comparison to the BYD Shark. It's worth pointing out the BYD Shark's its full chassis is much more sophisticated than the Rangers. The Ranger have essentially a sort of converted an internal combustion vehicle into a plug-in hybrid, whereas BYD have started from the ground up with the intention to make a plug-in hybrid, to make it as technologically advanced and capable as possible. So in addition to making the vehicle as light as they could, they've used high-strength steel for the majority of the truck. As I mentioned before, it has a huge amount of power. It has, about 300 kilowatt, which is massive and a lot more than the Ranger. Now, it also has the world's first longitudinal electric hybrid system. It shows that all four wheels are driven by the electric motors, whereas that's not the case with the Ranger. The petrol engine can only directly drive the front wheels. What this means is that the hybrid system prioritizes electric motor propulsion for up to 80% of total journeys. And therefore, I think the BYD Shark is going to be a fair bit more efficient for general driving. Aside from the fact the battery is much bigger, you're going to get a lot more electric-only range. The vehicle's more efficient as well. Now, it's true that the Shark is based on a ladder frame chassis. Utes, pickup trucks, ladder frame chassis. That's kind of the industry. It's been done now for decades and decades. However, it does have independent front and rear suspension in the Shark, and that means that it's more, like I said, more of a luxury vehicle. And that's probably one of the reasons why the towing capacity is lower than that of the Ford Ranger. The other advantage here with the Shark, it has a structural battery pack. And this is something BYD are focused on. It improves structural rigidity of vehicles, and it actually improves crashworthiness as well. BYD says the battery is part of the chassis structure with a structural rigidity of an increase of around 30% versus a standard vehicle, 38%. That's a pretty significant difference. Now, like I said before, the Ford Ranger, it's a known quantity. That's the big thing it has going in its favor. But if you have a look at the specifications, the BYD Shark actually beats the Ford Ranger in every way. It's a bit bigger, a bit more interior space. It has way more electric-only range. It's got a much, much bigger battery. It's got a lot more power. It appears to be significantly more luxurious in terms of just look at the interiors of both of them. The Shark definitely looks nicer. But of course, the one downside, the one big drawback to the Shark is just that towing capacity being 2.5 tons versus the 3.5 tons of the Ranger plug-in hybrid. Personally, that said, if I didn't need 3.5 ton towing, I would absolutely buy the BYD Shark. But if you need the 3.5 ton towing, you've got no choice but to get the Ford Ranger. Now, when I say no choice, I still think it's going to be a pretty good vehicle, just not as good as I'd hoped. And the reason I say that is because I think the battery is too small. I think the battery is just, to be honest, way too small for a vehicle this size. We're talking a really big vehicle. These are not small cars. And I think you're going to exhaust that battery pack really, really quickly. And basically, then you're just actually carrying dead weight with you. That's why I think the Ranger actually doesn't make that much sense. Like I said, having just an 11 kilowatt hour size battery pack, yeah, you're going to exhaust that pretty damn quickly. But guys, let me know. What are your thoughts? Which of these vehicles, which of these would you choose? Which one do you think is the better choice? Thanks for watching.